Well, it's Pride Month again, and that of course means it's not somewhere over the rainbow way off in the distance. Instead, it's a rainbow backhand across the face everywhere you look, and twice if you look away. Although, there is some evidence of the Bud Light effect this year, with many companies noticeably and suddenly hesitant to engage in the customary profile picture rainbowification, though in fairness, eBay's color scheme has always been ambiguously proud. Are they caving to the rainbow mafia, or are they giving them the finger? Nobody really knows, and eBay is just trembling, hoping that they pick right. So maybe the pushback is finally taking some effect, but it's also true that the pushback is part of the design, because Pride Month is just one big bait operation. That's how one of the 7 deadly sins is somehow converted into a virtue. It's through the perception of victimhood. So the more obnoxious the bait, the more likely a negative response. And of course, a negative response is exactly what is needed to create that victim narrative and perpetuate the whole thing. Either that, or you can just fake the oppression too. That's another commonly deployed method of manufacturing the victimhood. And in the story in North Hollywood, it's one of the two. Either this is a hoax intended to frame political opponents, or it's real, and we're just going to pretend that the slightest aggression ever committed is somehow genocide adjacent. Either way, truth and justice are not the point. Power through victimhood is. California Governor Gavin Newsom is framing this event as one of the greatest crime issues facing not just his state, but the country. A purge effort from the far right, burning flags, banning books, all in the pursuit of eliminating the existence of minorities. And we have seen this before, he says. Yes, it's just like Hitler. In the same way that walking your dog or brushing your teeth is just like Hitler. Because of course, what Gavin is talking about was a norm in every state until just a couple minutes ago. When he says book banning, what he means is that it's somehow wrong for states and school districts to curate the educational materials in their curriculum and libraries for school children, starting with maybe let's not have graphic sexually explicit material for kids, as though parents would be unreasonably Hitlerian to oppose the sort of education that's actually happening in Gavin's state, where teachers give the kids butt sex instructionals.
So you don't have to go inside the booty hole. You can actually just push on the seam, and that stimulates the prostate gland as well. So that's why for male and male, anal sex is still very pleasurable. There's a lot of nerve endings in your booty as well.
Plus, that teacher even got the Target plug in. Grotesque pun intended.
If you go to Target, seriously, if you go to Target and go where the tampons and pads are, they just look like a little box, but if you open up, there's like a Velcro front to the box, you open it up, and then bam, sex toy.
Anyway, the problem with Gavin's tweet is that it minimizes or ignores that serious issue of these sexual presentations for minors, while simultaneously maximizing, exaggerating, possibly even outright faking another. That somehow if you oppose these things, you're a victimizer of gay people. And if there's a defense for that particular clip, because these are high school students who are old enough to understand these concepts, well, of course, it does not and will not end there, because the story that Gavin is warning about is not in the context of high school. It's elementary school. That's right, this Holocaust-like event happened in North Hollywood, where teachers and administrators at Satakoy Elementary School have been planning a Pride Month event scheduled for Friday, June 2nd, for weeks. Now, in fairness, it doesn't sound like the official intent was sexual topics, rather the reading of a book called The Great Big Book of Families, intended to teach children that families come in all sorts of different compositions, including gay, lesbian, transgender, carnival freak show, or otherwise.
This school is celebrating reading a book. What it means celebration Pride Month. What it means about 2 moms and 2 dads.
As described, it sounds more like political propaganda than sexual, but of course, that's not a good thing either, and even that relies on trusting this guy and guys like him not to cross any boundaries, despite a career and an open philosophy of bending the rules intentionally. Anyway, with the district organizing this event and just saying, trust us, we'll be good, many parents are still cautious, and so they figure, A little chaperoning would probably be wise anyway, and so they've organized a protest for the same day, not on the basis of any hatred or to put people on trains, as Gavin is warning about, but just to express publicly that this sort of material is not an appropriate topic for their kids, who are between 5 and 10 years old.
Parents say they have a problem with this assembly, not because they don't agree with same-sex marriages. They just feel their kids are too young to be educated on that, and they want to be the ones to teach their children, not have the teachers do it.
There comes a time and a place where they all do need that education, but kindergarten and elementary is not the place.
I didn't bring him into this world for a teacher to explain them what is gay or what two men or two women do. Some certain things should be left to the parents to decide whether they want their kids to be exposed to it or not.
These parents were up bright and early on Friday morning with big displays outside the school reading "Leave Our Kids Alone." As the school day started, many parents were outside of the school demonstrating, and some gay activists were counter-protesting against them as well. In addition to the protest, some parents were more passive and just opted to keep their kids home from school for the day as well. In an update to the story published after I recorded this video, apparently there was one minor fight during the day's protest. One man suffered minor injuries, declined treatment, and it does not appear there was an arrest despite a strong police presence. I don't see definitive evidence about who is responsible for the physical confrontation. It is a completely reasonable stance from these parents, and so of course, if you're in opposition to it, well, you're going to have to find a way to make it look unreasonable, and that is where the true injustice begins. The injustice here is not the political and social indoctrination of these children against their parents' wishes at best, the sexual indoctrination of these children at worst. The true injustice here is some Bic lighter singeing on a pride flag the size of a postcard. Right on time for this event and the urgent need for victimhood. Well, here is your supposed victimhood. This is what Gavin Newsom compared to historic genocidal atrocity.
According to the LAPD, officers got a call about someone trespassing onto Satakoy Elementary School over the weekend and burning that pride flag.
If you take a look at your screen, you can see a small burned LGBTQ flag. Now, that was found in a planter at the school last week, and police are now investigating it as a possible hate crime.
And this wasn't just any pride flag so tiny that probably nobody even knew it was there anyway. This was a tiny pride flag that belonged to a transgender teacher. That teacher has now been removed from Satakoy Elementary for safety concerns, and very conveniently, this transgender teacher is also the one who discovered the tiny fire that burned the tiny flag on May 22nd. Well, my, what a coincidence that the most compelling possible victim just so happened to discover this crime with timing perfect to satisfy the compelling need for victimhood. That is awfully suspicious, but what exactly happened here remains unclear. Some reports say that the pride flag was in a planter outside of the school the whole time. Some reports say that someone actually broke into the school during the weekend prior, and that's how it happened. So was the flag outside or inside? If the flag was outside the whole time, then why would someone also break in? If the flag was inside, then why leave it more hidden outside? And not just how did someone do this, but who did this? Gavin Newsom blames right-wing brown shirts, but police have no suspects at all. No leads, no description of a perpetrator, nothing. No idea whatsoever who is behind this heinous, genocidal Bic attack. The parents behind the protest fully deny any involvement or knowledge of what happened. They say they did not burn the flag, and they hope LAPD will find who did. So we don't know. But Gavin knows somehow, even though he has no additional evidence. That tells you it's not about the truth, it's just about political utility. And likewise, the teachers union also knows somehow. In a statement, United Teachers Los Angeles says this is just another brazen attempt perpetrated by the intolerant minority to divide our communities and demean educators. Another demonstration of just how cynical this ploy really is. Per Gavin's tweet, before it was, "We must protect vulnerable minorities." Now it's screw those guys, they're in the minority. They're the scum of the earth. They should be condemned and ostracized, even though these people are the exact sort of minorities that these progressives would otherwise coddle. Ethnic minorities.
The Armenian community in particular and the Hispanic community, that is, both of those groups are largely represented at this school, and the parents say they feel like it is not age appropriate to teach kids as young as kindergarten.
They cannot tell us what to do. My children, my choice.
And as though they care about majority status anyway, if it could be shown that a majority of the parents in this school district oppose this pride assembly, would Gavin and the teachers union change their minds? No, of course not. Then they'd say, that's majority persecution, and suddenly minority status would be good again. And perhaps the most absurdly hypocritical finger-pointing of this entire event, the LA school district superintendent stood at this parent protest and accused them of politicizing children.
As a parent, as an educator, we should not accept children being used as political pawns, and unfortunately that's happening.
The entire point of this event is to politicize children. It's to teach children a certain political value, what a family is and is not. That's the defense of this assembly, actually. Oh, it's not sexual, it's just political. But also, please stop politicizing. And if it all seems a little too convenient, well, consider the final convenience. All of this amounts to reason to hang an even bigger pride flag. Oh, if they don't like our tiny little out of sight flag, I guess we're just going to have to hang an even bigger one even more prominently. You will taste the rainbow. Because if you don't stop resisting, they're going to jackboot kick it straight into your teeth.
It was placed in a pot outside one of the classrooms and has since been replaced with a new flag.
And isn't that the point, really? Creating new ways to shove it in your face with increasing aggression, and not even just in your face, actually, but in your kid's face, too. If that's not the intent, it's really weird how it always works out that way. But to the facts, what's actually more likely here? That parents who are otherwise calmly voicing their opposition through the appropriate means suddenly got sneaky and quasi-violent and criminal to achieve their goals, when any one of them could have freely walked onto this campus at any time and just swiped that stupid flag without anybody noticing, or that a person who is deceptive in every aspect of her life is just continuing that deception. Because the person who discovered this flag burning is a transgender activist, disguised apparently not just as a man, but as a teacher too. She saw she's losing the argument, and so she concocted a way to manufacture her only resource to win it. Victimhood. Now, unlike Gavin Newsom, I can't pretend to tell you that with certainty, because I don't know with certainty. But just a moment of critical thought on this story should offer clues about who's telling the truth. In that evaluation, I would not bet on those who reject basic biological truth, or those who openly seek to separate parent from child, or those who promote victimhood as virtue, or those who are upside down in every other context except for this one where they're suddenly very straightforward. Because there is no straight allowed here, after all, forward or otherwise. This is Pride Month. If everything else gets kinked, we should assume that the truth does too. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Minds, that is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.